In a dusty attic in Delhi, Meera opened an old trunk that had been untouched for decades. Inside, among faded clothes and brittle papers, she found a sealed letter dated 1947, the year of partition. The envelope was yellow with age, the ink nearly vanished, but the name was clear: To my dearest Aisha. That letter would unravel a story buried deep in the wounds of history. My dearest Aisha, if you are reading this, then I am gone, not from this world, but from your arms. Meera's fingers trembled as she read the opening lines. The writer's name was Amir, and from the delicate strokes of Urdu, it was clear he had poured his soul into every word. Amir and Aisha, two lovers separated not by choice, but by the great divide of nation. The letter unfolded a forbidden love in the heart of Lahore just before the riots began. In 1947, Lahore was alive with the scent of mangoes, the sound of azan mixing with temple bells, and the warmth of neighbors from all faiths. Amir, a Muslim calligrapher, and Aisha, a Hindu school teacher, would meet secretly by the Ravi river under a banyan tree. Their words were different, yet their hearts beat the same rhythm. But as whispers of partition grew louder, fear seeped into their meeting. Then came August. The lines on the map were drawn, and overnight neighbors became enemies. One evening, Amir didn't show up at the riverbank. Aisha waited in silence as gunshots echoed from afar. That night, her home was burned. Her father decided they must leave Lahore by train immediately. She wrote one final note and hid it beneath their banyan tree. She never knew if Amir would find it. Aisha boarded the train with her parents, her heart heavy with unspoken goodbyes. The train was packed, families holding each other, children crying, and silence where hope once lived. As it left Lahore, she turned to look back one last time. She whispered, "Come find to me, Amir." But the train was headed into course. It never reached its destination. Rioters stopped it mid-journey, and screams replaced the sound of wheels. Amir searched the city. He found her note under the banyan tree, the handwriting smudged with tears. "If we survive, find me in Delhi." The riots were consuming the city, but he had only one purpose now. Disguised as a Hindu merchant, Amir boarded a refugee caravan heading east. He carried only two things: a photograph of Aisha and the letter he would never stop rewriting until he saw her again. Aisha reached Delhi barely alive. Her father didn't survive the journey. She began working in a relief camp, teaching orphans children who, like her, had lost everything. Each day, she returned to the train station, watching passengers arrive. Years passed, and the world moved on. But she kept believing somewhere out there, Amir was still writing her letters. In 1951, a letter arrived at the refugee office. It had no return address. It simply read, "To Aisha, wherever you are. My love never crossed borders. It stayed with you." The paper was brittle, the ink smeared, but it was unmistakably Amir's hand. She wept not because of the letter, but because it was never delivered to her. It was found years later, lost in a pile of forgotten mail. Meera, the granddaughter of Aisha, sat in disbelief. This letter had never been read by its intended soul. She looked up at her grandmother's photo, now an old woman with kind eyes. Meera decided she would not let this story die in silence. She began retracing Amir's path, documenting their love not in pages but in pixels, telling the world about a love torn by history but untouched by time. Borders divide land, not hearts. Amir and Aisha may never have reunited, but their love became a symbol of resistance against hate and of the small, fragile ways people held on to humanity when the world burned around them. In a time when people choose fear, they choose love, and that choice, even if unfulfilled, was eternal. This story was inspired by real letters found after the partition. Thousands were separated, lovers, friends, and families. If this touched your heart, share it, keep their memory alive, because even in silence, their stories still speak.